Hello all, Rick here with another Star Trek Bestiary where we look into the aliens and creatures that don't quite fit into things like the cultural indexes, but also occasionally sentient AI and eldritch abominations. This time we're looking into a large interstellar creature of writhing tentacles and enough mass to put a galaxy class to shame. As for why they are so seldom seen, well, perhaps it's because they're apparent shapeshifters. They are also bright pink and just sort of bob around. The Star-Jellies, as they are commonly nicknamed, are massive cosmozoans, meaning that they survive just fine in the vacuum of space. First encountered at Farpoint, Deneb 4 in 2364, by the USS Enterprise, NCC 1701D, these spaceborne creatures were not in the best of circumstances when two of these beings were discovered, but we'll touch on that when we get to its strange powers. Their location and resemblance to Earth-based marine life earned them the scientific identifier Farpoint Nidarians, because I guess the scientific community wanted to be taken more seriously than just naming them Star-Jelly. First up, in their natural form, they appear to resemble jellyfish. Their size as adults varies, but they seem to be an estimated 1,650 metres. From their translucent luminous oval bodies dangle 8 arms, which make up the majority of this great length. They end in frayed tendrils. The body itself has no discernible sensory organs, but with its immense size, they could be there, just not visible. It does, however, have a faint ring around its circumference of spots that glow slightly brighter than the rest of its body, so perhaps these are how it navigates around. Being translucent, you can see a lot of internal workings and skin mottling that suggests there are also organs at play within the creature, but even this is uncertain due to the fact that they are just so rare. Starfleet has had little, if any, chance to study them. However, the Star-Jellies have a strong set of powers at their disposal. One of their most useful traits is that they can convert matter and energy into different forms akin to a Starfleet replicator, even their own form. For travelling the vast distances from planetary system to system, they can adopt the guise of a saucer-shaped starship, which itself is 12 times the volume of a galaxy class. This vessel form comes complete with corridors, a variable atmosphere and warp capabilities, which adds some weight to the theory that they are not the result of natural evolution, but a genetically engineered being. It was capable of scanning things with a beam of energy, but normal scans themselves were unable to pierce its shell, or hull, I guess, when it was in craft form. For attacking, they were capable of producing blasts of energy, which it could aim from orbit with a high degree of accuracy, this being how it attacked Farpoint. It also could transport individuals around, again demonstrating abilities more akin to a spaceship than a creature. No command centre was identified when one was transformed into a ship, but their feats of reshaping themselves did not stop at simple spaceflight. One had in fact been captured by the Bandai of Deneb 4 and forced to assume the shape of a habitable and lush colony in which people lived. The creature was forced to do this under duress, but demonstrated the ability not only to create inorganic structures, from entire towers to a small table, but it could also fabricate organic matter such as trees, grass, and even food. This, combined with its telepathy, enabled it to react into the minds of other beings, learn of something that they wanted, and then effectively replicate it instantly within its structure. The intelligence of these beings is not known, but they are definitely emotional creatures. The one captured at Deneb continuously tried to provide for the people using it, despite its status as a captive. When its suspected mate arrived in orbit, it was understandably angry and attacked around the colony, trying to frighten the band into releasing the other. So clearly they are smart enough to formulate a plan of action and see it through, as well as identify the specific individuals involved in the capture of a member of its species. In terms of communication, although telepathic, they did not speak any languages, but empaths could sense their emotional state and they could change their colour with bioluminescent displays. probably as another way to signal out. So, among Star Trek canon, there is only one confirmed encounter with these creatures, the ones at Farpoint, and we learn nothing more about them than is surmised here. But, turning to apocryphal stories, we can find two other encounters with these Nidarians that attempt to explain more about their life cycle and history. It seems they feed off of background cosmic radiation, but also draw energy from planets, which is why they can be found in solar systems. They adopt their simple spaceship form for travel between systems, then begin to graze on solar rays when they arrive at a suitably energetic area. When one eventually dies, their physical form is dropped to a planet's surface, where the mate, or others if they are travelling as a swarm, will actually submerge the carcass. However, the energy left from the deceased adult is then utilised to create offspring by the others. If there are multiple adults present, each one will add to the offspring's physical form using their matter conversion powers until the new life form is born. From there, it is plopped onto the planet's surface alongside any other infants to grow while the adults remain in orbit. The offspring and adults, although separated by miles of atmosphere, remain in telepathic communication the whole time. Such a nursery was detected in 2410 by a joint Lucari Federation exploratory mission into the Draconis system. There are also stories in 2380 of the USS Titan encountering a great number of these beings in the Gum Nebula, where they were being hunted by the Pahakel. This avian species killed the Sky Mounts, as they called them, then used the spacecraft bodies as their own interstellar ships. This was until the relationship was changed to a more symbiotic one. The creatures themselves generally seem benign and even compassionate, judging by the attempts of the captive one to help others despite its predicament. However, they will attempt to defend themselves and others of their kind, but they also were seen to not pursue vengeance, simply leaving when the captive Star-Jelly was freed. The strange nature of these creatures, from their warp capability to the humanoid accommodating form of spacecraft that they shapeshift into, has created some theories that they are not natural. It has been suggested that a species, perhaps long extinct, actually bred these creatures as their, mounts. This species then died out, saw no use for them, or perhaps even set them free on seeing how sentient or aware they were. It would not be the first time bioorganic starships have been encountered, so a form of them that has long since gone its own way and continued to adapt isn't unfeasible. There is a similar lifeform encountered in 2380 in Lower Decks, which may provide another origin of these strange creatures. Although similar, it is not identified as being the same as the Star-Jellies, but a lifeform did manage to sort of infect the USS Rubidoux. Well, it began to feed off the energy of the ship and grow in size very quickly, soon breaking the vessel apart, the only recourse being to shut everything down. Eventually its maturation completed, and a jellyfish-like creature burst from the remains of the California-class starship before going its own way. If this was the same type of creature, it doesn't rule out the artificial origin theory, but it would supplant the idea that they grow in nurseries, which was only ever seen in beta canon. Or perhaps they do both. The biggest thing about the Star-Jellies, apart from their gargantuan scale, is that they are incredibly rare and Starfleet knows very little about them, which is kinda how I like it. They were presented in the Next Generation pilots for a reason, to represent the unknown, the desire to explore, something that was so incredible and alien that Q used it as a test to pit the Enterprise crew against, a mystery to be solved. That about sums up everything I have on the Farpoint creatures. As spaceborne entities go, they're probably my favourite, because of how they were used in Encounter at Farpoint. What's your favourite Cosmozoan? Suggest it and other Trek creatures below, and I'll see if I can do a bestiary on them in the future. Thanks for watching this video. I've been Rick, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.